I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
More of them up ahead! What now? Go
Hey, what's up guys? This is Brian at Whisper Status 74. Welcome to the community, welcome to the channel. If this is the first time you are seeing me, please consider liking and subscribing. We are real tech for real people. Today's video is on the LG G2's gaming picture quality and performance. Special thank you to Robert and Wendy Zahn of Value Electronics. Please consider making your next AV purchase through them. Check the description below for all their information. Check out their website. A ton of work by Robert goes into that website, PDFs, information, and all the other services that they provide. We are looking at the Xbox Series X. I was able to be at Value Electronics after hours to film the PS5 and the Series X on the awesome G2 at 77 inches. Value Electronics had the panel 2 weeks early. It is now widely available, but staggering my releases, I am putting this one out now as there's been so much other display news. It is probably one of the most exciting and advanced years that we've seen in years for TVs as far as different technologies, QD OLED, mini LED, larger and brighter OLEDs, which is why I want to come back to the G2. So far, my favorite panel of the year, as it is the most complete, tried and true QD OLEDs, which I saw a few days ago from Samsung. Mind-blowing. I'm looking forward to that also from Sony. But right now, the G2, in my opinion, is the most complete. Again, tried and true. LG has been doing this for years, and they have it down to exact science. The G2 has more color. It is noticeably brighter, more vibrant, more saturated. Showing you the Xbox Series X on this panel is unreal. LG's been doing amazing work since the C8. The C9 is when the gaming features really started to take hold. But between the CX, the C1, now the C2, and the G2, they really have it down. The game optimizer is definitely a game changer, something they added a little bit of the CX, they added some of those tweaks, fully added it in the C1, and now I cannot live without it. You are looking at Forza Horizon 5. We'll go through several titles. What I appreciate from the wider color gamut or more color coverage as well as the higher peak brightness is the flexibility of image. With LEDs, you are limited to the backlight. You are limited to if they decide to disable it. With OLEDs, you can make them look brighter, you can make them look deeper, and here we are showing you the game optimizer. Right here I have it in standard. I also dropped the black level down to 7. The G2 is so much brighter that, in fact, hooking up my Series X and PS5, what I found is having to recalibrate all of the games as they were based on my C1. And then on the PS5, a lot of them were based on the new C2. So each game had to be recalibrated. Each system had to be recalibrated. And what I like about the optimizer is being able to access the picture settings within the optimizer. The optimizer previously only let you change a few things. Then you had to go into advanced picture settings. All that is done here. What you see here with Halo is going from dynamic tone mapping to HGIG and off. What I like about dynamic tone mapping is it does brighten the image, but at times it brightens the entire image. HGIG brightens it where it should be bright, except it seemed like from OLED's past, it didn't make a huge difference unless HGIG was supported. You really didn't see much of a difference. Now, where HGIG is supported, it is a huge difference, meaning keeps the image as it should be, but the specular highlights, the skyboxes are much more detailed and much brighter. So I actually prefer HGIG, again, where it's supported. But the G2 is bright enough where dynamic tone mapping isn't needed as it has been in the past. Again, I like the feature, but I had to turn it off a lot of times in doing these games because it's just that bright. I saw that with the PS5 with Horizon Zero Dawn. Now here we are with one of my favorite demos of all time. You can still find this on the Series X or the Xbox One, the Forza Horizon demo. You have to search it as demo. The reason why I leave this entire demo in the video is it covers fall, spring, summer, winter. It covers all 4 seasons. And with each one, you can see, look at the skybox, the details in the clouds. By covering all seasons, it just shows you all the different flexibility of not only the game, but of the display. Here, a fall day, bright, beautiful skybox, transferring into winter, cool. Now, I'll tell you, you'll always hear this in the comments, OLEDs push blue on camera. This game mode has been toned to warm 50, so it's actually warmer, just does not show up that way on camera. Now, I prefer Forza 4 to Forza 5. I also prefer Gears 4 to Gears 5, which is why you'll see Gears 5 later in the video. Now, though you'll see this cooler than I see it in person, keep in mind like the purple in the clouds, that just how the specular highlights pop from the brake lights to that back. Look how beautiful that is. Now, driving games primarily are also, look how gorgeous that the HDR is back there. And that's something that pops now more than ever. With OLEDs, there was always that trade-off of black level, not quite as bright, but the blacks were there. Now with these newer OLEDs, what we're seeing is the blacks, look at how bright that is. And again, these have been calibrated down in the settings of each title. But now having the ability to have the deep blacks, the color saturation, the immediate pixel response, then with higher peak brightness and higher specular highlights, it really is hard to beat. To the point to where I've already ordered my G2 at 83. So I've already upgraded. Even before this TV season completes, I already have made up my mind on which one I personally want for my own home. Now, I'm not saying which one is best, but the one that I personally prefer would be the G2. The C2 is phenomenal this year. Look at the skybox. I love that. And you know when you're playing these games, especially for me filming it, when you have to keep saying wow and oh wow, wow. That's when you know that things have improved. Now the C2 for me is an upgrade over the C1. Might be incremental, but I feel like the processing, I do feel that it's cleaner and a bit brighter. I do feel the G2 is another jump, which is why I'm upgrading from my C1 to a G2. Now the G2 is thick in comparison to other OLEDs. It's not thick at all compared to an LED. It is the same all the way down. That way it can be mounted flush. You can also purchase 3 other stands from Value Electronics or directly from LG. But it's primarily made to be mounted. But again, these stands are actually pretty cool this year. It has a silver bezel all the way around, which I thought would be distracting. I can refer you back to the unboxing and the other coverage on the G2 that we've done. But that silver, more high-end look from the front is invisible in the darkness and not distracting at all in bright light, or I should say in regular conditions. Again, clean listen of the image. Again, this is 77 inches. The camera is about 4 feet away. And again, with OLEDs, my favorite part about them is going from dark to light, the HUD on screen, no blooming. It's very distracting, especially with LEDs, as you transition from a dark to a light area. That immersion to me gets lost. Now the Series X versus the PS5, the PS5 has so many more exclusives. I had to cut that video down. The Series X has a lot of older titles. It's very good, but it's less of a showcase for me anyway. So I do tend to use a lot of the same games. What I like about doing that is I've done a lot of these same games on a dozen LEDs. Now the real gift of Value Electronics allowing me to go there after hours, especially to game, is that I will have access to the best panels this year and being able to show you uninterrupted gaming footage on it. Not just the G2, the C2, which I have here that they've lent to me, but the X95K, the Z2 8K, the Z9K 8K, the Samsung QD OLED, as well as the new Sony QD OLED. I will have access after hours to bring you all of this gaming footage. Also, once my G2 is here, I'll also do PC on that as well. But I saw enough of a difference in the color, the sharpness or the clarity of image, and the extra brightness to really want it. Now I say that what I say for you guys to upgrade a C1 to a G2. I again am on the platform. YouTube is something that I do, so it's advantageous for me to continue to upgrade. If I was watching this and I had a modern panel, if I'm not going up in size, I would not upgrade. I think that's very important to say, because it's the truth. In our excitement, people will say, well, you're hyping this up, you're hyping that up. Guys, I do see an improvement. But I will always tell you to be very content and happy with your panels. Now we're looking at some SDR footage. The challenge with SDR footage on older OLEDs were the fear of SDR not being as bright as HDR. Not the case here. The brightness has not been punched up, as Dragon Ball doesn't even have a brightness slider in its graphic settings. Very punchy, very vibrant, no issues at all with SDR. Now here we are at Gears 4. What I love about Gears 4 is, again, that light you saw him turn to, the specular highlights are blinding. Playing this on the KS 8000, 9000, 9800, it's seeing very, very bright LEDs. Vizio Quantum XP series, 3000 nits. OLEDs always felt dim in comparison to those panels. Not so these days. Though the black level was always better on the OLEDs, I really missed that brightness. Seeing it there, you can actually see how beautiful it looks. Love it. And again, it feels like there's more color. And you'll see the muzzle flash on the guns. You can see so much detail. And again, the delineation between the sparks and the rest of the background as we mess around here with the gaming optimizer. Again, why I like the gaming optimizer is you don't just have game mode. Having all these other presets that you can customize and keep customized. Standard, sports, RPG, first-person shooter, VRR, obviously, FreeSync, G-Sync, auto low latency mode. Now, while Sony is catching up and having VRR and auto low latency mode, being able to customize each one of these settings is an advantage they have over everyone. Samsung has their own game optimizer. I believe they originated it, in fact. But the fact that there's still LED, the full array local dimming still gets disabled, so it's still at a disadvantage. So for me, LG is still the best all-around gaming panel. Now the new Samsung QD OLED, we'll get our hands on that in a few weeks, but it still maxes out at 65 inches, and we have to still see how the motion processing is. Seeing that video or seeing that with FOMO on Tech, we did a few videos on it. I was blown away by it. But the G2 still has the edge all around, size, immersion, feature set. This year you have a 77-inch G2 as well as an 83-inch, which wasn't available last year. So now it's able to go directly head-to-head with the A90J. Now I feel this peak brightness and the way it looks is probably the same as the A90J. We'll have to wait for complete measurements when they are fully calibrated. I think the difference is with the G2 is it seems brighter in every single preset, not just vivid, not just one mode. Now people hear that and think I dislike the A90J. What's funny is last year I praised the A90J for the entire year, and then I was like a Sony fanboy. So you really can't win if you're watching, again, this video for the first time. The A90J was my favorite all-around panel by a lot last year. The only panel I favored over it was untouchable was the ZX, which was $30,000. Now here we are looking at Dying Light. Again, the clarity of the skybox. What LG has definitely fixed this year, and they improved it last year, but definitely fixed that white hexagon spiderweb thing is completely gone. Every OLED will have some sort of banding, but that artifact, that is gone. Which was something that I noticed with my CX, and we noticed it on actually all OLEDs. So it's something that LG has fixed with the panel. Also, I imagine you'll see that with the A80K and the newer OLEDs from Sony that are using LG panels. But what an exciting year. Now again, my excitement, my exuberance isn't meant to make you feel bad. If you have a modern panel, you're still good. You're still seeing everything. But I have to be able to tell you the excitement of what I see. And for OLEDs to be, there was thoughts a few years ago that OLEDs had hit a wall and they were done. And they were they could only get deeper and darker. But coming out of black artifacting, black crush, things like that kind of disappearing, not being an issue anymore. Retaining shadow detail. They don't need to be 2000 nits. You're seeing LEDs not be as bright as they used to be. So they're actually kind of bumping into each other. More color. Instant pixel response. With all the fear of burn-in over the years, who would have thought that OLEDs would be the best gaming panels? Burn-in for me, no longer a concern. I game constantly on my CX and my C1. My good friend Brass Tax, who is on the channel, has his own channel, has thousands of hours on his CX, does burn-in tests, no problems at all. Same game over and over, games hard on it, watches all kind of content, no issues. So I think we can finally put that to bed. Not saying it could not happen in a million years, but it's much more difficult. And they've become much more affordable. Keep in mind a 77-inch OLED a few years ago was $15,000. Really impressive. Again, the game optimizer, something that is now needed, but showing you the differences in the image. having 4K 120, having full bandwidth on all 4 HDMIs. And though it's not 8K, seeing where gaming is going, seeing these consoles have a problem doing 4K at 30, you know you're future-proofing by being able to do 4K 120. Also 4K 120 Dolby Vision. No one has that. Samsung will never have Dolby Vision. And the 4 HDMI 2.1s, having them full bandwidth is something I don't care about, the full bandwidth aspect, but having 4 of them is, and having them on the side versus underneath just makes it easier. Not having to share one with an eARC, incredible. So for me, the G2 is, again, a jump up enough for me to upgrade, but I will echo it. Being in this YouTube industry, covering TVs, but would I feel the need to upgrade if I wasn't? Honestly, no. The 83-inch C1 is an absolute monster, and I absolutely love it. And going from the G2 back to the C1, once I had gotten home, it wasn't like I didn't want to play on it or anything. You'd have to see them side by side. But I do feel the G2, especially in game mode, seeing it with the specular highlights. I love showing Red Dead, as I was one of the first channels to show the broken HDR when this game was released. And OLEDs were always at a serious disadvantage. It always looked washed out. They couldn't get bright enough. Now this game's been updated a million times. Now seeing it on an OLED looks so amazing. I always add it. Really impressive, really beautiful, very, very happy with this panel. Let me know what you think in the comments, what you think about where OLEDs are going. We are still very excited to see what LED is going to offer with the Z9K, the X95K, the QN95B. But I do feel OLEDs are now not only more affordable, have more features, have all these strengths, and have very few of the weaknesses they once had, especially now that they are brighter. I also want to thank all you guys for all your continued friendship and support. The channel is growing very rapidly. I'm putting much more time into the channel. Many more collaborations with Spare Change, FOMO on Tech, and many others, as well as Robert Zahn of Value Electronics doing weekly updates on what's coming out. And again, a true gift to have this friendship with them, being able to spend this time in the store to bring you content that you won't be able to see anywhere else. All right, guys, I hope you are all doing well. Again, special thank you to Robert and Wendy. Check the description below. Please tell them that I sent you. I will see you in the comments. Love you guys. Please let me know what you think, and I will talk to you very soon. Take care.